Guys, it's funny how you can feel like you have a really quiet area, nobody's in the school, it's a nice easy time to film a video, and then the birds outside go nuts on you. If you hear them, I'm sorry about that. Guys, my name is Bill Jones. I'm the head instructor of Top Level Martial Arts in beautiful downtown Cuyahoga Falls. You're watching Professor's Corner. I'm a black belt under Master Pedro Sauer and Tony Rinaldi. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all those YouTube things. If there's a button that I haven't heard about yet, it's got like polka dots or it's really cool, go ahead and click that one too. We'll see what it does together. All right, guys. Today I wanted to talk about weight cuts. I have a lot of competitors, and I get the question a lot of times, hey, Bill, I'm an ultra heavyweight, and there's this division for like 225 and below, should I go into that? Or, hey, I'm weighing in at like 175. Should I cut down to 169 to be in the next weight down? So let's talk about that a little bit. But before we do, let me give you a little bit of background on me, because obviously I know Brazilian Jiu-jitsu, but not everybody understands or even knows of my other certifications and things that I've done in my life. So I do have a degree in exercise physiology, and I'm also certified CSCS through the National Strength Conditioning Association. So when it comes to strength and conditioning, the ideas of weight cuts, things like that, I'm well versed, and I've seen a lot of it in my lifetime. And on top of that, while I'm not a nutritionist by any means, actually I have some friends that I consult with when I need more nutritional advice. I'm pretty good with some of that stuff. So weight cuts, what's the point? How should you do it? Should I cut down for this tournament? Well, let's start and talk about why weight cuts are even a thing. Why do people even do this? And that comes down to what's called strength to weight ratio. What you're really attempting to do in a weight cut is be as light as possible, but be as strong as possible. So the higher your strength to weight ratio, the more likely you are to be able to outperform other people in your division. With that said, there's some downsides to weight cutting. One, it's just really not that good for you if you do it incorrectly. Two, you tend to go in with a lot less energy. And when you don't have energy, it doesn't matter how strong you are, you don't have the energy to fuel those muscles to actually even use that strength. And then on top of that, like, you can be more susceptible to things like concussions and injury. So should you weight cut? Well, I'm going to say it like this. It depends. There's a couple different situations that you should be looking at. If you have time to cut the weight healthfully, meaning 1 to 2 pounds a week up to the tournament, then yeah, you should weight cut. If you're going to have to do a 10 or 11 pound weight cut in a week, I think it's a terrible idea. I've never been a fan of that. I think it should be outlawed in fighting. It leads to higher rates of concussions, and you're just going to get hurt. Now, why though? What if you're trying to say win worlds? Well, there's no doubt that in IBJJF worlds, when you're trying to become a world champion, that you want the highest strength to weight ratio that you can have. There's no arguing that. That's true of any sport, anywhere. So how do you make that happen? Well, the answer is don't start cutting weight and don't start trying to get to your weight 6 weeks before your tournament. I would argue with you that if you're trying to be a world champion and you're not paying attention to your weight or what you're eating or anything until 6 weeks before your tournament, you haven't really been trying to be a world champion. That's just a dream. To do this properly, you need to give yourself a full year. You need to set up a cycle of working out, a cycle of training that's going to benefit you and put you at the weight, or at least very close to the weight that you need to be at for competition over time. Because to have the highest strength to weight ratio, you're also going to want to gain muscle mass. You want to gain muscle mass, lose all the rest of that weight. Most of the time when you're dropping weight real fast, it's just water weight anyway. And I say anyway as though it's not important. It's extremely important. It protects your brain. So you want to gain the muscle early and then start cutting weight later so that you can be at the weight you want to be when the tournament comes. Now, let's talk about the other 97% of the jiu-jitsu population. Most of you are not trying to win the worlds. Most of you are not going to Pan Ams. Most of you are not going to ADCC. And if you're not doing those tournaments, I'm going to tell you, I think it is a complete waste of effort and time to start doing weight cuts for them. Why? Well, let's say you're an accountant. You know, you're John from accounting in a law firm, and you need to have meetings Friday morning before the tournament because that's your job. You need to be there for them. You need to be alert. You need to be ready. The last thing you want to be affecting with your regular life is your hobby life. Like, you can't let that happen, right? Because one is going to sustain you and support you and your family, and one is definitely not. The other one is really cool. And I hate to use any martial art as though it's a hobby, but the simple fact is, for most people, that's what it is. It's a hobby of some sort. It may be a hobby that you love. It may be a hobby that you'll never, ever quit, but that's what you're doing. And if you get hurt doing your hobbies, and make no mistake, cutting weight can hurt you, then you're more likely to not do your hobby. And I want you to stay in jiu-jitsu for as long as possible. So it's like, if I'm in the, and I'm making up these brackets because they're different with all different organizations, but let's say I'm in the super heavy division. So for me, I weigh 250 pounds. Typically, the next one to get down to would be like 220. So I have to drop 30 pounds. Let's say that I say, okay, well, there's a tournament in 4 months. I'm going to drop those 30 pounds. I think the argument could be made that it's healthy to drop those 30 pounds anyway. But let's just say that I do it. I shoot down. You know, I get there. You know, a week before the tournament, I've got 10 pounds left to drop. I'm not drinking water. I'm not lucid for my work. My work at actual work starts to decline. I go to the tournament. I don't have all the energy I need, and I do bad anyway. What did I gain out of that? Nothing. If anything, I looked like a jackass at work, and I lost a bunch of weight. And if I got thrown hard and hit my head, or got twisted up and hurt my ribs, you know, now I'm just injured and unhealthy. So I think my opinion on this is becoming very clear to most of you. I think it's a complete waste of time and effort for most of you to be trying to drop weight for tournaments. With that said, there's one more reason that I don't like dropping weight for tournaments. I have weight cut twice for tournaments in my life. So once I dropped from 215 to 205 so that I could be in the 195 to 205 division. And once I dropped from 250 down to, I think it was 230 something. It might even been 220 something, so that I could be in the next division down. On both occasions, my brackets got combined anyway, because there weren't enough people in the individual brackets. Meaning, I dropped from 250 to 230 or 229 or whatever it was, just to roll people who were 240 and 250 pounds. Wow, that was not good. I didn't feel great. I didn't have enough energy. The weight cut came too fast, especially at the end of it, and I just didn't feel good. Same thing happened when I went down to 205. There was nobody in the 195 division, so they just combined me with a guy who was 240 and another one who was 260. That was my first tournament, by the way. It was when I was a blue belt. And so, like, I find that happens a lot to people, is they'll drop a bunch of weight and then realize that their divisions are getting combined anyway. And while that'll never happen to you at the IBJJF, let's be real clear, because they have enough competitors that's not going to be the case. That happens all the time at local tournaments. So I don't think it's worth your time to do that. I think your time and your efforts and your energies, especially for local tournaments, are better spent creating strategies for jiu-jitsu, learning and understanding technical choices as tactical choices. Like, so I have a technique I want to employ. I want to be as good as possible at that technique, but I also want to make sure I'm choosing the correct techniques. That's a tactical choice for what it is I'm trying to accomplish, right? If you've ever gone out there and just kind of rolled in the gym and just rolled to do whatever, you're making no tactical choices, right? You're just letting whatever happens happen. Well, most of the time, that's not a good strategy for tournaments. You need to make tactical choices as well. How close am I into the boundaries? How much time is left? What's the scoreboard look like? These things are going to matter. Where's my coach sitting versus where's their coach sitting? Because guess what? If you can keep the match closer to your coach than to their coach, that's a benefit to you. These are all tactical choices that you're going to make, and you're going to do things that help you with this. I think your energies and time are better spent learning that kind of stuff than trying to drop a bunch of weight to go into a division that may not even exist when you get there. So I hope this is helpful, guys. Let me know what questions you have. Like I said, I am certified strength and conditioning specialist. I have been for years, and exercise physiologist. So done a lot with like exercise modalities and such. If you want nutrition questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. Some of my friends who are here are much better with nutrition than I am, so I'll let them answer those. But guys, let me know. Have you cut weight for tournaments, and how did it go for you? Did it work out? Did you feel better? I can tell you most of the times I did not. So anyway, guys, have a great one. Don't go dropping a ton of weight for these local tournaments. It's not worth the effort. Spend your time in the academy getting better at jiu-jitsu. I'll talk to you later.